Get this up here. All right. Get this keyboard out of my gosh darn face. Let's get the angle right here. Yeah, I think that looks nice. My hair could be fixed a little better, maybe. Maybe something. Oh, no. I think it'd probably be more. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's a little bit more. Okay. Whew, sorry, guys. I'm friggin' late, man. All right. Sorry, guys. I'm late. I'm so embarrassed. I promise I won't keep being a fucking late asshole. I was just really struggling with my outfit for the evening. I wanted to make it special because you're here on Sunday with me. Oh, Free Bird, hello. Nice to have you back in some of the streams here. Nice to see you guys. This is going to be the first of hopefully many Sunday night or Sunday vibes, because first of all, it's Sunday. Second of all, tomorrow is Martin Luther King Day. So most of you people are going to take the day off tomorrow, at least if you live in America. Guess who's not taking the day off tomorrow? This fucking guy. I'm going to be editing Wednesday's video as well as Thursday's video. Here's the thing. If you're watching this channel, here, let me ask a question here. Who here watching right now speaks English as not a first language? English is not your first language. Put a 1 in the chat room if your English is not your first language. If English is not your first language, put 1 in the chat room. Let's get a little consensus here. I would love to know what people's language interests and skills are, because oh wow, okay, interesting. Wow, Hippie Bashing Machine and Freebird. I definitely would have thought that English was your first language. Okay, so most people. Okay, well, anyway, if English is your first language and you're interested in studying Chinese, this was such a stupid way for me to ask this question. If you're interested in studying Chinese, I am going to be doing a language series or continue my language series, except we're going to be breaking down my Cold War 2020 scripts and episodes. I'm going to use them as Chinese study material, and I'm just going to walk everybody through the inside jokes, through some of the wording, some of the grammatical patterns, some of the idioms, or like what makes the line funny. Sometimes there's like a really key detail, like a cultural background detail or something that makes a line funny. And I think that my channel does have a decent population of foreigners interested in studying Chinese. And I think one of the things I struggled with when I was studying Chinese is that there's not a lot of really interesting, good, engaging study material. There's just not. And we were just talking about it in the Discord, which the link is in the description of this video if you guys want to see it. The Discord, we were talking about, why is it that Chinese television shows in particular, why is their dialogue sound so not Chinese? It sounds like nothing that you would never ever hear in like an everyday conversation between Chinese people. And for me, I saw this guy named Jiang Ben is a great actor. He was the one in the Star Wars Without Jedis, whatever that's, Rogue One. He was the guy that wasn't Donnie Yen, the guy with the big machine gun. I went and saw him do a little lecture at my school when I was at the Central Academy of Drama. And he talked about this. He was like, dude, he did say dude, but he was like, modern Chinese television shows. He said movies as well. The script, like the way they speak, it feels like very fake and very weird. And other than that, also you have the pressure of the government censoring everything interesting in life. So it's really hard to find engaging Chinese study material. However, my shit is pretty, it's pretty 重口味. It's pretty heavy. So I hope I can at least diversify people's Chinese studies. Because here at Lila Farley's channel, although most of our subscribers are Chinese people spread out around the world as well as in China, we do have a decent population of just people that are non-Chinese. And most of them are interested in Chinese as a language. And I want to make sure that I help you guys as much as I can on that, because it is, first of all, it's not like I'm teaching English. Teaching English for me is a chore. It's actually a freaking chore. When I teach Chinese, I love that shit, man. Chinese language to me is, it's the thing that really stimulates my mind most in life. Basically that and like comedy. So I've combined the two in my Cold War 2020 series. So there was a patron that kept asking me, I forget your name, I'm so sorry, but he kept asking me in the patron and member streams to do this. And now it's finally time. So that'll be every other Thursday, starting this Thursday with episode 1 of Cold War 2020. We'll just go through it. I'm just going to break it down. And if we get enough of an audience, we can stream it. But in the beginning, I'll just record it and edit it. A reason to learn is a reason. Well, the reason to learn is something that you got to think of for yourself, right? When I first started studying Chinese, the reason was because my high school made me. My high school made me. But I kept studying it because the language is interesting in itself. It's a very fascinating language. So, you just need a reason. It can be anything. For some reason, this is hard for some people to believe, maybe, but I think if you really think about it, it makes kind of sense. First of all, a lot of people in China's entertainment industry, a lot of the men are gay. Actually, maybe a lot of men in the entertainment industry all over the world are gay, but a lot of them in China are gay. Some of them don't come out as gay, but you can very much tell that they're gay. These foreigners, it's also true. So in China, there were these shows where the foreigners would come and speak Chinese. Some of them were really, really talented. One of them is a fellow American mine, Miley something. Meng Tian is his name. And he later came out as gay. But if you look at those shows, there was 2 shows with foreigners speaking Chinese. And I knew some of them. I was in shows with some of these guys. The guy from Argentina, later on, he went to represent Spain, and some of these other guys. And most of them, not some of them, most of them were gay. And so it's such a strange phenomenon that for us, not only entertainment, but foreign dudes that get really good at Chinese, good enough to where they can go on these television shows and have deep, thoughtful conversations, which is a high level. There's a lot of homosexual men among these guys. And I thought it was really interesting because every single one of them had an Asian fetish, but they just liked having sex with Asian dudes and not Asian women, which I thought was a pretty interesting thing. And anyway, I was like, well, maybe if they have a Asian fetish for Asian guys, that's what helped them become really, really good at Chinese. There was the guy from England on 非正式会谈来自英国的那个嘉宾. You have that, all that stuff. I think it's as an observer, okay, I think it's a very interesting phenomenon. I think it's a very interesting phenomenon. 多做中文直播，每周做一次语言的直播, English and Chinese. It's a good bet they don't even know what the word irony even means. Well, I'm not sure if you're referring to what I just talked about. Most of them, yeah. So when I look back at those shows, yeah, most of them is an exaggeration. I'd say probably anywhere between 35 and 50%, though. It's high, dude. It's really high. Which is probably why when I was there, I got offered one time by a producer that was like, yo, do you want to be on this movie? And I was like, yeah. He was like, well, we really like you. The director likes you. Would you be willing to have sex with this director or give him oral? And I was like, what? I was like, I'm not gay. And I was like, why not? I was like, no. He goes, why not? I was like, I'm not gay. He was like, oh, but I'm not gay either, but I fuck a dude every once in a while. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, I have a wife and kids. He goes, I have a wife and kids, but I'm not gay. I just fuck a dude every once in a while. I was like, dude, woo, we are living in different realities, my friend. This is very, very crazy. But in China, you don't have an actors or entertainment, any type of entertainment industry. You don't have a union to protect you. So if you think Hollywood's bad with this, you have to, in Chinese, they call them 潜规则, right? The underwritten rules or whatever of the entertainment industry is really bad, where it's like, oh, you could have to sleep with this director to get a position. I mean, Chinese people joke about it all the time on the internet. I'm not making this up. They call this all the time 潜规则. Sometimes they'll even use it as a verb, like 被潜规则了 or something like that. The entertainment industry is fucking weird. It attracts just really odd mix of people. You have people that are down like my dumb ass to get in front of an audience and make a fool of myself, and hopefully within the scope of making a fool of myself, we get through some type of humorous or even thoughtful and reflecting content. But then you have another group of people that is super down to just, I don't know, you see it a lot with the pro-Trump Chinese media, just very much trying to fill some type of hole. I don't know, some type of narcissistic hole. The concept of sexual harassment hasn't caught up. Well, yeah. Oh, hey, Nikki, what's up? director Guo Jingming. Oh yeah, so this is what I said in my 演员请就位. So that China, there's a show in China, a variety show that was pretty good actually for the first 4 episodes, but then the state propaganda friggin' department definitely gave them a talking to and was like, you guys are being too mean to each other. And after that, everything was good. Oh, hey, this performance was pretty good. Oh, this was pretty good too. This was pretty good too. It was bullshit. They were just going through the motions because in the first few episodes of this Chinese acting show, the Guo Jingming, this director who looks like he's 17, but he's actually like 38. He's like 4'10". He wrote a book that's basically like it's like a poor man's Nicholas Sparks album. It's like a poor man's Nicholas Sparks album. I hope that there's some people out there that get this comparison. A poor man's Nicholas Spark book. And it was like a romance book. I'm sure some of you may have heard of it. It's 新时代. It's like very materialistic. Okay, very odd. And this guy who wrote the book and later directed that film, Guo Jingming, is clearly a homosexual man, which, by the way, I'm completely supportive of homosexuality. Though I'm not gay myself, I've said it a million times, very much pro that. And I really just don't understand how you couldn't be. But anyway, Mr. Director Guo here, if you look at that show, in the first episode, he gives an S card, which is the best level of card you can give to an actor that's acting in a play or a movie clip right in front of you, in front of the other directors as well. It's just like a talent show kind of thing, like American Idol, but with acting. It's huge budget. And this kid acts with there's 2 guys, and they're crying. It's raining. They're in like a Chinese ancient type wardrobe. They have the one's like out in the rain. The other guy's like under an umbrella. And they're both so bad at acting. But one of them is what they call in Chinese is like 小鲜肉, which is like these very young male actors that are just like, I guess they're really good looking in a really weird way that I just don't understand. But it's like a freaking huge phenomenon. Like these guys just become so famous by just like having a certain look to them. And this guy was one of them, right? So they call them 偶像. These are these guys that are 偶像, idol. It's called an idol, they call them, right? So this guy has like been an idol for, I don't know, he's probably 21 years old, if that. And he's probably been an idol for fucking 2 years. And he's like, oh, I'm trying to get into the acting industry now. This is what he's talking about in his like personal interview before he goes on, because it's like a reality show. So he's like, oh, I was an idol before, but I really want to get into acting. It's like, you don't want to get into acting, dude. Everyone around you is just telling you, you're good looking, you're fucking awesome, you should do acting. And it's like, that kind of sucks because, in China's industry, that does make sense because there's such a lack of quality in film and television that you do have to make it up for like trying to stimulate people's, sexual desires through a man or a female that fits the most common sense of beauty. So you try to make money through that. And this kid is just so dumb. Like his brain, like if you hear this dude talk, you're just like, wow, this dude is an absolute moron. His brain is empty, which is kind of a bummer sometimes. I feel like if he's like that, considered that good looking or something, I bet he like was growing up and nobody was really ever mean to him or picked on him or gave him like honest feedback. And he's just heard great things his whole life and thinks the world is great. He's just like a space cadet. He's just like, yeah, dude, this is interesting. Okay. He goes on the show and he has to act. It's his like first acting performance ever, I guess. And this guy is so bad. He's like acting. He's just so monotone. It's raining on him, but it's clearly fake rain. He walks up to this other guy, and in the end, the other guy stabs him with a fake sword. Stabs him with one of those swords that like retract when you stab it into someone. And the dude that has never acted before, the young guy that's just like really counting on his looks to get fame, gets stabbed in the chest. And he's like, oh, but I thought we were brothers. It's like, oh my God, dude, you don't even know that you should like react to getting stabbed, bro. Anyway, the play ends, and it's time to get judged by the judges, very similar to American Idol or any of those singing competitions. And it comes to director Guo Jingming, the very flamboyant 4'10", clearly gay director that I was referring to, that wrote the poor man's Nicholas Sparks book that he then also directed as a film. It's called 小时代, Tiny Times. It's terrible. Okay, so you're here with me? Now, Guo Jierei gives him an S card. There's a A, B, and you get rejected, and then the S is the top. So it's rejection, B, A, S. Every director only has a certain number of S cards to give. I think they only have 2. And this is the first guy that comes out. And this dude gives the guy that got stabbed and didn't even flinch. So he was just like, oh, I got stabbed. Clearly doesn't give a shit about the art of acting or film. And is just doing this because people around him are telling him he's good looking and that he should do it. Director Guo gives him an S card. And if you look at the footage of this, I did a video of it in Chinese. It's got English subtitles if you can't speak Chinese. If you look at the footage of this guy, he looks like he's a freaking lion about to pounce on a gazelle. Okay, this 4'10", very flamboyant little Chinese dude, he like goes from like just being like, to like, oh, you could just see this dude's like, oh yes, I'm about to get that. Like I'm about to hit that. And the rumors in the Chinese entertainment industry and on the internet is, and I think that they're actually much more confirmed than just rumors, is that this dude has like done this, what I was just referring to in the very beginning of this, like 10 minutes ago, called 潜规则, the unwritten rules. He has done this before to dudes that are straight. Straight dudes that he's just been like, well, dude, listen, if you want this part, if you want to like make your life better, you know, you could just suck my wiener here. So there you go. That's the spiel. I just connected it. Do you see that? I left this thought 15 minutes ago and I just brought it back. 潜规则. Pretty interesting thing. 学习英语. Yeah, if you guys use this to study Chinese, you know, or I mean study English, you could also just adjust the speed. Yes, I am busy. Yep. Every day, man. I work on this stuff every day, but it's good. It's good. I have a few people that are going to help me with subtitles, at least English to Chinese. Chinese to English is tough. That's a tough one. Mate, talk about the CIA. How many people here actually don't speak Chinese? I think some. If you don't speak Chinese, can you push 1? Well, some of them might be studying Chinese. Yeah, he has a plagiarism problem, which he's admitted to now. How many Chinese you actually don't speak? Mate, talk about CIA. Okay. There's not much to talk about with the CIA. I was just kidding. When I sent that Twitter out, like I could help the CIA. I could help the CIA, but why the fuck would I do that instead of do what I do as a job? I like this much more. And I think that through the power of entertainment and through the power of some hibbity hop, some rap, I think I'll be able to get people much more interested and care about China than I ever would as a CIA operative. Okay. Not to mention, you know, alcohol. This is going to be alcohol and weed. I mean, I could give that up if I absolutely had to, but it would be very unfortunate if I had to give up hallucinogens forever. That would just suck because those are the best. Damn it, this is going to make my freaking stream. I'm going to get restricted. I'm not going to be able to have revenue from this stream anymore. Fuck it. I just hope you know, if you're out there and you're an intellectually curious person that has a relatively stable mood and frame of mind, you know, shrooms and LSD, they're just the best. Just the best. Do you need English captions when watching Chinese movie? Hell no. Hell no, dog. Nice to see you here, though. 十里山路不换肩. Nice to see you, but definitely not. Do you think if Chinese comedy show is allowed to mention politics, it'll be more fun? Of course. If you look at the quantity of good comedy, music, or films, or even TV shows that come out of Taiwan, and you compare it with just the size of it, the population. Now, obviously, the culture, you could say, has influential factors, but the language is basically the same. The fact that Taiwan can turn out such better entertainment and artistic pieces, whether that be comedy or drama or anything, just goes to show you, it's like, well, what's the biggest factor difference? There's a ton of differences, but one of the biggest ones, and I think the root of a lot of the differences, is the political difference. So if you try and create under the Chinese propaganda department's rules, if you try and really create, if you try and make some type of artistic piece within their boundaries of accepted whatever choices, you realize very quickly it's very limited. Very limited. Nothing I've said on this stream could be put in China. Nothing. Think about that. I've been talking for 20 minutes, basically nonstop, and nothing I've said in this stream would be able to make it in the Chinese internet. Now, what's the big difference here? My video is going to get demonetized because YouTube doesn't approve of, I guess, some of the content that I may have just said. It's interesting. So who has the power in the West? Well, it would seem the capitalist, right? I don't think you get cleared, Lila, with your interest. I don't know what that means. Interest of what? My interest. Yeah, Hong Kong, I apparently had good. Oh yeah, watch Internal Affairs. I'm definitely going to try and do that. I would like to do that, definitely, because I want to see how similar The Departed was. The Departed is a fantastic film that I watched very recently. And I started watching it like midnight. And I was like, I'll just watch a few minutes. And I was like, holy shit, this movie is incredible. How did this movie slip through the cracks for so long for me? The Departed. It's got a nice Boston accent. Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? Long time listener, first time caller. Listen, I just want to say they're saying Brady's going to the fucking Chargers. He's not going to the Chargers. He's not going anywhere. He smokes pot. He can't work for the CIA. He talked about it in a previous stream for like an hour. Hey, Edison, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. That's the other thing. I just wouldn't want to either. I mean, just like, I just think it's a waste of the things I'm good at. You know, it's really hard to stand in front of a crowd. You know, some of the crowds that I was hosting events at before the COVID popped off, you know, the last one I did was like, I don't know, 900 people. It could have been even more. It was huge. And to be able to stand in front of that many people, speak in 2 languages, try and be charming and keep like a nice light atmosphere with that many people in 2 languages is not something that everybody can do, no matter how good your Chinese is. You know, when you go in front of that many people, most people, you like your balls go up into your stomach. You know, you swallow your testicles. You can get so nervous. And that's what happened in the beginning when I would do it. But then what happens is when you learn how much you have to prepare before going on stage, you understand the level that you have to put into, for example, like a stand-up comedy skit. Once you understand how much you have to have it down, like a rap, how much you need to be able to do that in your fucking sleep, right? You have to be able to do that. Sorry, Mr. Farley, but if you want to join our league, then pack up your bags and move out to the Far East where our whiskey's vague and you know what place is naughty. Colonels in his legs, colonels in his legs. See the only cut with only dog meat. But anyway, if you want to go up on stage and do that, you have to prepare a lot. And then once you do prepare a lot, once you prepare enough to go up on stage and be in front of people and be okay under that high pressure situation, it turns into adrenaline, and then it can be very addicting. Once you get like reactions from people and they laugh, you know, it's like Eminem says "Until I Collapse." When he's like, music, what does he say? This is your moment. Every second. Music is great. What is it? Music is great. Music is sick when people are feeling your shit. Oh, I forget the line. Crap, I forget it. I can't believe I forgot that line. Internal Affairs. Oh, not the last great one. There's got to be more. Almost Adapted. Yeah, I've heard that. I want to see if they have the therapist character, though. The female therapist character was really great. It was really great. Laughed my ass off. Little drinking of 2 are so uncool. Maybe, why? Lightseeker. Oh, hey, what's up, bro? Lightseeker, did you change your little picture here? That's a very peaceful picture. It brings me a calming. It makes me feel very calm. For the last like 2 weeks, I've taken just a little break from booze. And I don't know how long it's going to go. I'm not going to give myself any like pressure or anything, but it's been nice. It's been nice. Gotta lose yourself. No, it's not lose yourself. I know lose yourself much better than I know the. Now I forget the fucking song name of the one I was referencing. My memory is shot now because now I'm thinking of lose yourself. Oh, I have so many raps going on in my head. I got the leanest, cleanest Venus, you never seen this. Stroke of genius. So take off your boots and your body bag. 大家都会中文啊，但是这个是英文直播。Yeah, this is the English stream. Yo, Lightseeker, I appreciate your continued support, dog. Thanks, dog. Interesting times to be alive, my friends. Interesting times to be alive. So for those of you that are really sick of this, but I think it's relevant, and I've talked about it before, but I think I've talked about it in Chinese mostly. You know, I'm a competitive dude. You know, if you look at my physique, especially when I was in much better shape back in the day, you might think I'm athletic, but I'm actually really not. I can't jump high, I can't run fast, and I have pretty bad reaction speed and pretty bad, well, I don't know, hand-eye coordination, reaction speed. Anyway, I am a very competitive person. So when I play Halo or FIFA, or when I learn the Mandarin language, I do like to compete. You know, I do like to compete. And so this is why I keep bringing up video game streaming, because I have done the research of some of these other World of Warcraft streamers, and video game streaming industry has never seen someone like me. I'll tell you this right now. Because I not only World of Warcraft is such a sociable game, so you have a chance to talk to other people, which you can derive so much humor and drama and everything from it. But also, I think one thing, if I was watching a streamer, it would really bother me if he was just trying to be funny all the time. I'm not only trying to be funny and entertain you, but I also fucking care about winning. And I'm not bad either. I'm telling you, that's going to happen late April, early May, whenever they release the Burning Crusade. Tenderly Hard. We're on Sulfurous, US server, Sulfurous. Tenderly Hard. My name is Girthy. I think I'm a level 12 right now. We're going to be very slow. I only have basically every week I've given myself half a day of time off. And during that half day, I like to escape from the mess, the shitstorm that is Twitter, and sometimes YouTube comments. Although my YouTube comments have actually, we got a really nice little ecosystem going right now. But sometimes I just like to unplug from the abyss of darkness all around us and go into Azeroth. 我家住在黄土地坡，谢谢你。Thank you for your continued support to Lilifari Productions. Loud here. I look forward to the day where I have a live performance and you come up and you're like, yo, 我是那个黄土我家在黄土地坡 I'm just going to make it 黄土地坡 Someone gave me a link to explain this name and I didn't look at it. I fucked up. Lucas, thank you. Thank you very much, Lucas. Did you guys see on my little thumbnail for the English streams? I used a color very similar to Lucas, although I'm red-green colorblind. I still am getting more brave with my color choices. That's the thing that people that aren't colorblind don't understand. You know, it can. What's going on here? Sandy. Okay. What issue? What's going on here? 我不礼貌吗? Whoa, is there a beef going here? I don't feel free talking in English. I'm talking English. I don't feel free talking in Chinese. Chinese and English, it doesn't matter. We're a bilingual community here, not just Chinese and English. People have talked in Japanese before in our chat boxes. We want all languages here, you know. We want all languages. We want an international community because personally, I just find that interesting. That's more interesting. I think if I'm just using the America to like define my reality and define the world around me, that's kind of boring. Yo, what's your opinion on Fed and central banks actually own everything and control the gov? I had that opinion. Right out of college, you know, when you take a few macroeconomic classes and you study the equation that like equals Y, the GDP, or equals GDP, and you realize how important interest rates are. You know, but I think I was Zhuang Bean then. I think I was trying to sound smart and look cool, whereas I don't really understand enough of the depth. But I used to always say like, dude, the guy, head of the Federal Reserve, he's the most powerful man in the world, not the president of the United States, not the president of the United States. And I think that I just thought that sounded smart, and I don't actually know if that's true or not. But I know that, the Federal Reserve is really important and interest rates are extremely influential on everything, but it's probably just hard to measure and go through it. So you're a comedian, Lola. Yeah, I did stand-up comedy kind of casually when I was hosting Chinese gigs, or like Chinese people organized gigs. I would usually host them bilingually. Sometimes I'd just do English, sometimes I'd just do Chinese, but usually I would try out some material. And what happened is I realized that I was pretty bad, and I didn't really know what I was doing. So I took a writing course of how to write comedy. And as soon as I did that, last year, just every single comedy performance went well, and every single hosting gig went well. I just learned how to be calm, present in the room, how to be able to connect. Like, as soon as I have like an idea of where I want to take a huge train of thought, to embrace it, grab it, and casually, slowly but surely, with very little fat on your words, try and get there. And then also punchline, the act out, all this stuff. Once I learned how to do that, stand-up comedy went really well for me for about 9 months there. And I started to actually like make some money from it. It was really low, but I started to make some. And then I had, like I said in that video, I had like 9 or 10 New Year's galas booked when the coronavirus, like basically a year ago, exactly a year ago, I had 9 Chinese New Year gala gigs booked. And in the course of like a day or two, 8 of them, maybe 8 of them, like there was only 1 left that didn't get canceled. And that was just terrible, because Chinese New Year's gala is like the fourth quarter for retail, but for me, it's where I make most of like a lot of my money for the year, at least for like rent and stuff. And I was just getting to a point where my stand-up comedy was so good that stand-up comedy was helping me be a good host. Every event I'd hosted, I would step off the stage and I'd immediately get people that'd be like, yo, do you want to host this event for us? Host this event for us, including some pretty big people like the mayor of Pasadena. I had the mayor of San Gabriel, all these people that were really feeling my shit. Music it's when people are feeling your shit. When you're real in your shit, when you're real and you spit and people are feeling your shit, this is your moment. Yeah, what is that Eminem song? What does it go like? And so I started doing stand-up comedy, and yes, I got very addicted to it very quickly. Just being able to make people laugh, dude, which is like, a lot of my stand-up comedy skits, they have very much a kernel of some type of view or truth that I hold dearly, even though they're funny, or at least hopefully some of them are funny. The PRC recently announced their first corona death in 8 or 9 months. Dubious, in my honest opinion. What are your thoughts? What are PRC local folks' thoughts? I think that the Chinese government's definitely lying about the numbers of everything. I mean, you saw it with the Cultural Revolution. When Mao would tour through certain, like the countryside, they literally would have like, it's like the Office quote where Dwight tries to bring Pam and Jim and Pam's girlfriend from season 3, and they put him in the front so that like when I think it's a lawyer that comes by the office, they want to have their best looking people there to impress them. And Dwight makes the joke saying, it's like when you're selling beats, you want to put your best looking beats in the front. So this used to happen during the Cultural Revolution, and actually before the Cultural Revolution in like 1957 through 1958, basically, when it was really the Great Leap Forward was really just murdering, or not murdering, but just tons of Chinese people were dying all across the country. Mao would go to some of these places, and in order to not like look bad, in order to preserve the surface level of good, of peace and harmony and well-fed citizens, they would have some of their best-fed citizens that look the healthiest be there, like in the fields, like really close to him, be like, hey, we're working, everything's going great, I'm really well-fed, life is awesome, I'm having a great time, I'm not mad at anything, you're doing a great job, you're the man. And then in the background, in the very distance, they would just put like wooden figures or like stick figures of people with like clothes on to try and make it look like there was just tons of people working like the very good plot of land that he was touring through. Now, often this was the only plot of land that wasn't a complete arid like disaster. But that's what they did. A lot of these officials, you see it in communism, definitely in authoritarian regimes. You just see it where in order to preserve the lie, you just eventually get to the level where you're sacrificing the lives of your citizens. You're sacrificing the lives of your citizens. Now, with COVID is very similar to a Great Leap Forward or Chernobyl. I think that probably, actually, we'll never know. Definitely less than Great Leap Forward, but we'll never really know how many Chinese people died, especially if you include like the Uyghurs in Xinjiang. I guarantee you, so many of them died from the coronavirus that we're only going to find out till way later, because it's not like those guards were like really caring about the virus spreading amongst those prison camps. There's, if you think about it, there's probably a lot of deaths that we don't know about. So I think the overall COVID death is undercounted by a lot. I mean, I think it's probably stunning. You got to think about Chinese old people don't even know what germs are. There's no hand soap available in basically 99.9% of Chinese public bathrooms. So people are, and then you have most of the population. It's an upside down population triangle. You got most of the population is elders who, I love talking with Chinese old people, but they don't have the greatest like hygiene common knowledge. They really lack a lot of it. They really don't know that much about hygiene. So they probably don't wash their hands a lot. They are also the most at-risk group for coronavirus. And I mean, there's like people, I think it was like a Harvard study that was like, there's signs of COVID popping off in China as early as like fucking September, man? I think I may have read like July. So let's just safely say October. There's like some ravaging through Wuhan, which I don't know if you've ever been to Wuhan, but it's like a lot of other Chinese cities and where it's fucking crowded. And so there must have been so many people dying without them really pinning it on a new virus for so long. Now, I think since they got control of it, a lot less people have died. And I think America's probably had more people die in the end, even though it's not a competition, you sick, twisted bastards. So, what are my thoughts of them recently now announcing their first corona death? Dude, I don't even look at this. The only reason, all that tells me, if I'm reading the freaking tea leaves here, Lightseeker, if I'm reading the tea leaves here, I'm thinking that the Chinese government, why would they put this out there? Why would they say this? Probably because they passed some type of threshold where they're like, listen, we're getting this number of reports of real deaths. If we don't say that there is some type of sickness, citizens are going to be kind of pissed, or they're going to like start questioning things a little bit. So we just need to say that there's this many deaths so that enough Chinese people that like know someone that died of COVID recently will be like, oh, well, they're reporting on it. It's because a lot of Chinese people, the Chinese schooling system doesn't teach you some of like how to avoid logical fallacies. And the one I always bring up, because it's always one I run into, is like the narrative fallacy that we're all guilty of committing sometimes, where when or you just have a subjective experience and you're using your subjective experience usually of one case to define a much bigger concept or a much bigger trend. And often that will be wrong. And so but Chinese people would definitely easily fall into that trap. Where they'd be like, oh, the newspaper is saying that there's some people dying. I guess, the government's not lying about everything. At least they're kind of telling the truth, right? But in reality, I bet it's much worse. What are PRC local folks' thoughts? I don't know. That's whatever you guys think. I'm not PRC local, I'm not PIC local now. Wasn't he the one that said he didn't care if the U.S. nuked them, that there were another 100 million Chinese? Oh, who said that? I have no idea. 2 million deaths so far. Interesting. Very interesting, Nicholas. Is Goxing like, what's going on here? Ash, is there like an argument going on in the chat box or something? Let's try and we don't have to be friendly. Live your best lives, guys. What's good, Mark? How you doing? Do you think you'll ever go back to China? I was talking with my boy Kevin about this yesterday. I think probably it depends. When do you think the CCP is going to fall, if it does? It's really hard to think about what the CCP will become. But I don't know. If I'm a betting man, over 10 years, I'm going over, right? I'm going to say it's probably over a decade from now. Over 20 years, probably go under. I think that they're probably not going to be able to hold on for 20 years. And if they do, I think the world is in a lot of trouble. So in 20 years, I'll be about 49, 50 almost. And so, yeah, I'll probably be like an old dude on the news that they'll interview, and they'll be like, Lola Farley has they'll be like, Lila Farley has fought for Chinese people's freedom for multiple decades. Here with us now, Lila Farley can finally walk back and see his old teacher from the Central Academy of Drama. Oh, it's such a beautiful moment. And I'd be crying on camera, and young people will be like, "What? Why is he crying? Like, what happened?" You're like, yeah. So in China, actually, all the signs pointed to it was going to become a next great country and was probably going to democratize. And then this asshole Xi Jinping came up and fucked everything up. And that's why you have to get a coronavirus shot. Is anybody following me here? Is anybody following me? Are you still with me? Cheese and crackers. This is a very, very long delay in the stream and the chat. Oh, really? That's not good. At least if it's as long as it's not ka. I'm just gonna ignore this guy, or mod, get rid of him. The guy who doesn't speak English. Guoxing, this guy. All right, we'll just put him in. We'll put him in timeout. How about that? Do you still have any contact in China? No, not really. I mean, I don't really reach out to people on WeChat, on my WeChat, and people don't really reach out to me ever, actually. Most people have seen this Guo Jierei video. The one I talked about, Jerry, my old friend, who's the most famous Chinese foreigner in China. Part of that video was passed around a big account on Weibo or something. And not only did it set off an army of 50 Cent army members to come to my channel and call me a lunzi, like the thing that people use, I guess, to call epoch media, like Falun Gong. I get anyway. It also spread around, and I think that a lot of my friends probably saw it. I've gotten contacted from some people. Nah, Jerry wasn't my roommate. He was a close friend of mine, though. He was a really close friend of mine. I've had some criticisms for that video, and I don't think if I was to criticize myself for the thesis, I guess you could say, behind that video, I think that you would just say, Jerry, this guy that only talks about America's bad stuff, which Chinese people eat up because the Communist Party conditions them to feel better about their own lives, their own country, when they see America's negative news, which has been very easy to do. But the thing is, Jerry, even though he's just focusing on that, and clearly he's playing to this phenomenon to make money, the stuff he says about America is usually not wrong. I've only seen probably like 5 of his videos the most, because he speaks maybe a 10th of the level of Chinese that I do. And I'm not blaming him, but it just, when I hear him, I just hear my own failures. I hear my own failures. The fact that I just wasted so much time studying Chinese instead of trying to shoot videos about how shitty Detroit was. But no, all kidding aside, I also said in that video, it's a completely subjective opinion I'm giving, guys. I mean, it's got subjective influence in it. And I said, he has the right to do this. It's not like he's making up shit about America. A lot of the stuff, it's just really easy to hate on America right now because there's just a lot of shitty things going on. Now, the criticism, and I said, how much you shouldn't hate the player, you should hate the game. It depends on how you understand that phrase. You could say the game is Chinese people's desire to hear foreigners, but specifically white people, and usually white guys, talk about how great their country is. But I think if you really analyze it to its core, it's probably the game is actually the Communist Party brainwashing or ruining China to where Chinese people don't feel confident enough talking about their own country or even thinking about their own country. And because they lack that confidence, they look for reassurance from white men that, like, hey, actually, China's really good. They don't understand what they're talking about. Have you seen my skin? I'm white. You should listen to me. I mean, that's what Nathan Rich does. That's what Barrett does. And they profit off of that. They profit off a lot of that. And Jerry, if I'm going to diss my own little thesis here, I would say Jerry is not necessarily lying, but I think where you could approach saying that he's like, if you want to say he's a bad guy, because the question always is, do you think this reflects something about his character? And I think if you had to make the argument that you think it does reflect something about this character, I think you would just say the dude doesn't advertise himself as, listen, we just talk about America in this channel. If he just said, yo, Jerry's channel, you want to come here, I just talk about China. That's just what I do. Like, he markets it, he lets people know that. I think that's probably more fair. That would make it much more excusable, right? But the fact that he doesn't say that and just kind of be like, hey, this is objective analysis. You're wearing the guise of objectivity when in actuality you're just profiting off a lack of confidence of the Chinese people about their own culture, their own country, which it shouldn't be like that. I mean, if you look in Chinese history, any time where the government wasn't fucking things up, wasn't fucking the arts up, even if it was really short, like the new Republic of China, like in the very early 20th century, the arts there were insane. They had such a booming arts scene, especially in Shanghai, that you just saw like hybrid Beijing operas, and you just saw so much cool stuff coming. And you see it in the Tang Dynasty literature poems and Song Dynasty poems, as well as some Ming Dynasty literature. Whenever the government wasn't intervening in the creativity of Chinese people, they'd catch up like that. It's like almost immediately that they're producing art, real art that people around the world can enjoy. And so it sucks to say this because the Chinese government is such a hard issue to fix. So when you say this is the problem, it's defeating almost. But the government's the problem. I mean, they're the ones that are the reason that China doesn't have good art. It's tough. All right, this English stream, we're going to end it very soon. I'm going to keep English streams short because maybe that will incentivize people to watch someone that they don't give a fuck about the opinion, i.e. myself. Your wig looks like a bird's nest now. Haha, it doesn't look so comfortable. Oh, no, well, I got it closed. It's good now. I think I fixed it, right? Lol, yes. Right? Yeah, I fixed it. Wasn't Trump right about China? Isn't it a major shortcoming of democracy in America that Americans get their panties in a bunch so much about his rough tone that they miss the fact that he's right? Well, unfortunately, that's kind of a generalization because he's right about what? We have to be specific here. Because he's right about the fact that, for many years, China has just straight up not held their end of the deal. They just haven't obeyed any of the World Trade Organization or like the things they agreed to when they entered the WTO. And they've just been really taking advantage of the greed, really, of the rest of the world, but specifically the West, to not actually, to just take us for a ride is what you say in English. Take us for a ride. And he's right about that. Now, is he right about he's so wrong about a lot of other stuff. Like he called Xi Jinping, like a great leader. Like he called Xi Jinping a good friend of his and all this stuff. He's certainly not right about that. At least I don't think from the perspective of someone that values human rights and democracy. I don't think that Xi Jinping, Putin, or that fatty in North Korea, Kim Jong-un or whatever his name is, I don't think they're good people. I don't think they're good leaders. But he is right to turn our attention to the fact that the Chinese government's taking advantage of us, because a lot of the government officials were also benefiting enough in democratic countries in the West and in US and Europe to not rebuttal, to not really stand up and be like, yo, China can't do this. We have to do something. Because as long as you get yours, man, as long as you get yours. Mark J. Trump was right about China. Mark J. Trump was right about China, but very wrong about other things. Yeah, he was right. I guess you could say the general idea of it, which when he said, what do you say? They're raping us. It's like, okay, I don't like how he uses rape a lot because I think it's very cheap to do. I'm not trying to be like, oh, you shouldn't say the word rape. I'm just saying, I just think it's kind of cheap. Clearly you're trying to play to a populist agenda here. But if you want to say that China was raping us before in terms of our trade relationship, you could make that argument, especially if you define us as the U.S. people and not the government of the U.S. Because, do Chinese instead. CP, did you storm the Capitol offer in English today? I wish I could. He's right about China. He's just trolling, bro. He's not trolling. The thing is, Trump, if you hear that call that he had with the Georgia, what was it, the governor of Georgia? The dude sounds like he's got significant mental issues, which the guy's 74, and he's just gone through a complete I don't know, you could say reality check. He's just had like really some traumatizing shit happen to him over the past few months. And I don't think it helps that he's probably also on Vyvanse. I mean, I really think that he's on a prescribed stimulant. And I know if people hear that, they're like, whoa, man, dude, what are you going to say he's on drugs and stuff? Listen, so many more people in this world are on drugs that you just don't know about. Like so many people are than you could possibly think about. It's crazy. Including the goddamn president of the United States. Now, here's a real question. Do you think they were giving anything to Biden? Right? Maybe. Dude's had a pretty nice turnaround. Had a pretty nice turnaround. Yeah, his stamina that's what I really think. And you know what the other thing is, when he gets out of Air Force One and he just looked so dejected, he just looked so sad and depressed, is like, that's an Adderall come down. That's an Adderall come down. Why do you wear a red tie? I'm just trying to celebrate America. Isn't Biden going to go right back to business as usual? I don't know, man. You know, probably, because he's going to care about the economy. So what can you do? What you have to do is create a big enough of an alliance with literally free trade agreements. I mean, it's got to be free trade agreements. Like, it's got to be really, really nice so that other countries, whether they be in South America or Southeast Asia or East Asia, Japan, Korea, it makes them a much easier decision for them to do business with America and not China, or with each other. We just need a huge free trade zone. And unfortunately, that is going to, over the course of like 5 to 10 years, you know, we're going to have there are going to be people that are laid off. So I think if you're going to try and do a free trade agreement with like the world and really bring international trade to a new level without China, you got to also prepare for the labor force that's going to fall off and try and retrain them. You got to try and retrain them. The question is, what could you retrain like a truck driver to do? And I don't mean anything against truck driving. Like, no, one of my good friend's father is a truck driver. I'm nothing against that as a profession. But once automation comes in and replaces that, what can the government do to help you re-enter the labor force? And that's why there was that famous line that someone said, is like, they should learn to code. And people got really upset about that. I don't know. I guess it's like offensive in the way that like you're just going to tell these like dudes that have been doing one thing their whole life, like, learn to code, man. But hold on. We could also, let's say that coding is a choice. Let's say if they want to go to like a retraining school and coding is one of the options. If there's 1,000 truckers that get laid off and fucking 2 of them end up being like, yeah, I'll try coding, and they actually can turn it into a full-time job, that's a pretty fucking great thing, especially when you look at it from a really large scale. If you have like 5 million truck drivers getting laid off and you get like 5,000 of them that just like discover some type of like propensity for coding, which probably would happen by just sheer probability, that's a good thing. I mean, you just got to offer other education things that like to retrain people for the labor force. The only problem is, I don't know what you should learn if it's not like computer science, because, oh yeah, this is Anthony. Anthony's right. You know, I learned economics and Chinese, and then I learned acting. And luckily, you know, when I was in China exploring performance arts and acting and stuff, I was basically getting paid. I had full scholarship, and the government was giving nice subsidies to students that would get that level of scholarship, which obviously I did, but it's not that hard to get. But I had that opportunity to study things that really can't be automated. You know, entertainment is very hard to automate, because entertainment, you have to be human. You have to touch on something human. And so it's probably not going to get automated away, but that's just fucking lucky. What if something that you did train for is able to get automated? You know, I don't know enough about the modern labor market, to be honest with you. Life in Beijing is very normal when you are above average at what? I think Biden will continue trying to. Yeah, he will. I mean, he'll look like an asshole if he doesn't. The Republicans are going to rip him to shreds if he doesn't. I'm excited to criticize him and not have people fucking lose their mind, because Trump, when you criticized him on anything, the Trumpers would fucking just like, a lot of them. I'm not saying all the Trumpers, but some of the Trumpers, and I guess you could say the most vocal group of the Trumpers, would just be like, Gallop. It's like fucking zombie, like hearing someone trip over a rock in the distance. Biden, I don't think is going to be able to attract that extreme of a cult of personality. Truck drivers can coding while on autopilot. Well, I guess you're probably going to need some driver for autopilot for the beginning periods of automation. The election was 2 months ago. Move on, Trump fans. Stop arguing how Trump is a better choice. Yeah, who fucking cares? I can't wait for Trump to be a distant memory in the past. I cannot wait. I also can't wait for his wife to divorce him, publish a book about what really happened. I'm going to read the shit out of that. I hope they translate it into Chinese. Mark J, yeah, I hope so and think so. The mainstream story about China has changed a lot about sex for 6 months, and the general opinion has changed. Yeah, it's true. It is true. It's really one of the few things that the left and right agree on. Oh, that's terrible. Shadow. Trump rules, man. Mark J is gonna die on this island. You know, Mark, I'm just gonna tell you, live your best life, dude. Do you? In the end of the day, I don't fucking care. They need a camp. They need the camp in Xinjiang. They need the camp. Are you saying to like what? Because you think they're all terrorists? Come on. What's your opinion on the weird stuff going on in the U.S. right now? I think we need to rein in social media companies and how they control our thought. 2 days of Trump to go. Booze. Biden is getting attacked on both sides. He's not going to have an easy presidency. Definitely not. You should do more streaming in English. Yeah, I will. Well, this one, we're going to finish it here because this is pretty long already. But I'm going to do it every Sunday. So Sunday vibes, guys. If you're trying to chill on Sunday night, you can come hang out with your boy, Lil motherfucking Lil. And that's it, guys. That's friggin' it, you know. Light skin to black, baby. I drop these up in with my me screaming, "Ay, Bobby." I love it when they call me Big Papa. I only smoke blunts if they roll proper. Look, I got you caught up with the flow. Fuck, time. Oh, I forget that line. I suck. All right, guys. Until next time. Do you know the ADV guys? Yes. Serpentenza didn't. I almost just spoke Chinese. This is crazy. I've been speaking Chinese all for like the last 3 days, man. I was definitely dreaming hard in Chinese and even thinking in Chinese starting today. Just been buried in it, which is good because I need to make sure my Chinese continues to go up. Do I know the ADV guys? Yes, Serpentenza today put a video out that is great. It's like an hour and 15, and I would highly suggest watching it while like cooking and then eating something because he has a nice tone that's easy to understand, and he has very organized. It's very organized. Like it's like a master's thesis of a video. It's really well edited, really well researched, and it's about a topic that I fucking care about. So if you guys haven't, Serpentenza's new video, you should go check it out. It's impressive, dude. I mean, it is impressive. It is a professional level of production, writing, editing. You know, and I think about that topic all the time, and I'm just like, I don't know if I actually want to look that deep into the abyss. That's a tough topic. You just have to go research and look into that stuff. It's dark, dude. But Serpentenza did a really good job, and you guys should totally watch it. All right, that's it for this video. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.